Gorr the God Butcher. Yes, this is a new champion that's coming to Marvel Contest of Champions, and what I wanted to do is go back to an old series I used to do, which is go and check out the comic book history of a character, learn a bit more about a character, share that information with you, and also look at the comic book source abilities as to what to expect when this character enters into the game very, very soon. Christian Bale portrays Gorr the God Butcher in the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder, the 4th Thor film, which is out next week, so it's very exciting to learn a bit more about the character. Although people have said that he looks a bit like Voldemort and Uncle Fester, so yeah. Marvel Studios must have chosen a reason as to make this character more, not down to earth, but maybe down to earth in a sense of appearance, have that very much more humanoid element to the look. But there's things that can be done in order to make a menacing kind of supervillain that doesn't look too much like the one from Eternals, but has its own kind of separate identity to it that would make it menacing. The same way that we had Ebony Maw, and that was kind of a kind of humanoid type shaped character, but was very menacing. Either way is a stark contrast to what we've seen in the comic books, but let's kind of get into learning a bit more about Gorr the God Butcher, his reasons for becoming a god slayer, and why indeed he decided to be a villain. What was his pet peeve? So in the comic books, Gorr was born on a planet with no name, almost every day on the brink of starvation. He was taught to trust in the gods, but they never answered his prayers. At an early age, his mother and father died, leaving Gorr to fend for himself in a harsh environment. Years later, he married and fathered some children, however most of them died. Gorr's pregnant mate Ara was killed during an earthquake, and one by one his children perished until he was left with one son, Agar. When Agar was on the brink of death due to starvation, Gorr sought to ease his suffering and told his son they would soon reach a forest where they would never go hungry again. This is something I'm really looking forward to when Love and Thunder is released, as to how Christian Bale is going to deal with all these circumstances and how it's going to build up this catalyst of hate towards gods, especially because how it's going to lead into how he ended up getting the weapon, which I think is going to be a little bit different in Love and Thunder, but how he got that particular weapon, the Necrosword, is going to be very important, because the comic books tell a very different story, if indeed the case is different with the film. Well, Gorr witnessed a pair of battling gods, a dark elder god called Null, who a lot of us know about, and a gold-armoured purple-skinned god empowered by the Enigma Force. Plunged out of the sky and crash-landed nearby, shocked by the realisation that gods did exist, Gorr was enraged when the gold-armoured god begged for help. The dark god's sword, transforming into an Amphimorous mass of living darkness, and bonded with him, Gorr used his weapon, the all-black Necrosword, to kill the gold-armoured god, then vowed to seek vengeance against all gods for never answering his prayers. At this point, you're probably wondering, like, well, how do intertwined stories start with Thor and Gorr? Well, there's this thing where Gorr comes to Earth and he's kind of destroying a lot of the earthbound gods, and including some Slavic gods and things like that. In any case, they kind of meet, they brawl, they fight, and they go to a cave, they fight again, and Gorr actually wins first off and tortures Thor for about 17 days before then, the people that worship Thor find him, so the Vikings find him, and then kind of save the day. In the process, Thor then cuts off Gorr's arm, and that is going to be very important as to his abilities and his powers a bit further on, which we're going to learn about. And at this point, things just get really kind of screwy, and to kind of really explain a lot of it is there's further fights, there's this creation of a god bomb, which is going to basically try to wipe out all of them. There's time traveling of Gorr back to early times in order to defeat the earliest gods. There's things that kind of upset the paradox. There's multiple worlds, slipstreams, time streams, different universes, and stuff like that. The usual things with Marvel. But there's some interesting things, like King Loki is the person that resurrects Gorr after death. There's also a point in time where Thor becomes, or feels like he's unworthy to host the mantle of Thor, and as a result, you can see him passing off Mjolnir to Jane Foster, which I think is going to be a parallel nod to, with Jane Foster, Natalie Portman becoming the Thor in Love and Thunder, but he feels unworthy, and it takes on the Unworthy Thor storylines, and the comic book saga is a great story saga. There's also a defeating of Gorr with 3 different versions of of Thor. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with like the Gorr, the God Butcher, with Resurrection, the first time, the God Bomb, and so many different things. But I love the first part when it comes to like the origin of the villain, because I think it's very much kind of like true and has a point to it. And then after that, everything goes a bit kind of like screwy in the pursuit of trying to take down all gods. So let's have a look at powers and abilities. Mainly with a lot of this character, it comes from the sword. The sword is kind of the key to a lot of the power of the character, and the sword can do a lot of stuff. So the all black, the Necrosword, which is association with as I say, a symbiotic weapon Gorr found on the body of a wounded god. Gorr attained the powers of I don't say this right, constituent matter manipulation. I think I'm saying that right. Constituent, that's a word. Never seen that one before. Gorr can use use a living abyss comprising all black to create a variety of constructs such as wings, weapons, armor, and a cloak. Though all black preferred form as sword. Okay, so it's just like okay. There's also dubbed black berserkers to do his bidding, so you kind of like create like these kind of like this army for his bidding, which is really cool. I don't know if they'll nod to that in the film because it looks more like a physical sword rather than the sword that we kind of see in some of the comic books. Superhuman strength, that at least comparable to that Thor, if not greater. He was able to best young Thor, present day Thor. That'd be interesting if the film kind of like nods to like back in time and this particular interaction, and it's just kind of like they don't have kind of like, oh, it's you, oh, we fought together in the past. So that may be something you might see in the film. Durability, speed, reflexes, longevity, regeneration. This is what I hope to see with the character coming into game, that it has a lot of this stuff. I don't know if it will have stuff like the flying and super speed. I don't think it will have that in MCOC, but definitely it's cool to see. Combat skills, has at least 3,000 years of combat experience and is skilled enough with weapons to duel with gods with ease. I kind of think the film it depends how the film kind of goes, like whether or not it represent any of that, and whether or not in MCOC you'll see things like the torturer elements to it, because I don't think they kind of like allude to these things. But I definitely think there's a good shout to have like more of just a strong character, and maybe a little bit of a nod to stuff that's associated with Null and other characters like that. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a lot of that. I'm hoping to see a lot of stuff referenced to the God Bomb, because the God Bomb is important. Now I thought something. There we go. So the God Bomb is actually mentioned in MCOC. Using all black symbiote, Gorr can manifest any weapon he desires, usually wielding it in the form of a sword. God Bomb, Gorr's greatest weapon, would come to be known as the God Bomb, with the force aid of God of Bombs. They need to stop saying God and bombs. Gorr created an anti-divinity armament designed to affect all time, thus allowing him to kill every god who had or ever would exist. Okay, this looks cool. It sounds really fun, and I hope that there's going to be some nods here. I mean, it says here like the MCOC. I don't know if there's going to be a nod to that as well. Well, you never know. You never know with this. But yeah, I'd love to see all these abilities and more, especially with the God Bomb and how that kind of creates to maybe do something, and how that would interact with other characters within MCOC and stuff like that. So that's just been a little bit of comic book history and a little bit of abilities of that character. We're all looking forward to seeing what this offers in the future. Expect a Valkyrie version of this tomorrow. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Make sure to check out some other content, which is located on screen right now. And I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.